Victor Wembanyama, he's just learning how to play the game. Scary how great he's going to be.
Steps through, off the backboard! Wemby floats!
A 22-year-old from France just became the youngest defensive player of the year in NBA history, and the first ever to win it unanimously. And the scariest part? He did it the season after a blood clot nearly ended everything, which makes Victor Wembanyama the most terrifying force in basketball. And his life off the court is every bit as ridiculous as what he does on it. So let me give you that context, because nobody is just born 7'4" with guard skills. Victor was born in January 2004 in Le Chesnay, France, into a family that basically breathed sport. A track and field father, a mother who played and coached basketball, siblings who played too. And before the basketball stuck, he was a soccer goalkeeper and a judo kid, learning reflexes and body control that most big men never come close to. By his teens, he was tearing through the French professional ranks, first with Nanterre, then with Asvel, the powerhouse run by Spurs legend Tony Parker. The whole basketball world already knew. The only question was how high the ceiling went, and whether anyone in America was ready for it. In 2023, San Antonio took him first overall, the most coveted prospect since LeBron James in 2003. And the Spurs didn't hesitate to back that up with money. His rookie deal, 4 years, roughly $55 million, the most valuable rookie contract in NBA history. For perspective, the number 2 pick that year signed for under 50, and the number 3 pick for around 44. The league looked at this teenager and decided he was in a category by himself. Then, he went out and proved the contract was a bargain. Watch what happens when a generational talent meets the franchise that turned Duncan and Robinson into champions.
And off Horford into Victor, he's ahead of the pack, he just puts it over.
And before anybody jumps in the comments to say rookies always get overhyped, save it. He led the entire NBA in blocks as a rookie, the youngest player ever to do that. He didn't just win Rookie of the Year, he won it unanimously, and he made the all-defensive first team in year 1. He warps an offense just by standing in the paint. He erases mistakes his teammates make. Guards drive in, see those arms unfold, and change their minds mid-air. That's not a stat sheet talking, that's a kid bending the geometry of the floor. So, what does a player like that do for an encore? In year 2, he went from great to terrifying. Through 46 games, he was averaging around 24 points, 11 rebounds, almost 4 assists, and a league-leading 3.8 blocks a night. He made his first All-Star team. He was the runaway favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. And then, in February of 2025, it all stopped a deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot in his right shoulder, discovered after the All-Star break. Season over. He fell short of the games needed to even qualify for the awards he was about to sweep. For a player that dominant to be frozen mid-stride, it was the kind of gut punch that ends some careers before they peak. But here's the thing about Victor. He doesn't break. He got cleared ahead of schedule, told a French newspaper plainly that he was officially back. And in a move that tells you everything about how his mind works, he went and trained for 10 days with monks at a Shaolin temple in China because he wanted to put his body through something completely different and learn more about himself. Then he came back and answered every doubt at once. In the 2025 to 2026 season, he led the league in blocks for a 3rd straight year, dragged San Antonio to a 62-20 record and the number 2 seed in the West, and was named Defensive Player of the Year unanimous, the youngest ever, and the first player to win it in his first 3 seasons since David Robinson. It was never just talent. It's resilience welded onto talent, and that combination doesn't lose. Now let's talk about the money, because the on-court resume is only half the machine. The cornerstone is Nike. He signed with them during his pro days in France, and that deal carried straight into the NBA the moment he was drafted. Nike literally posted all eyes on him the night it became official. He's not just a shoe wearer, he's a flagship face, the star of campaigns built entirely around how singular his body and game are, and he's far from alone on his roster of partners. He's tied to Louis Vuitton on the luxury side, to Fanatics in collectibles, and to NBA 2K in gaming, the kind of portfolio most players spend a decade trying to assemble. He stacked it before he turned 22. So, who stops a guy who's winning on both scoreboards at once? Here's where it lands. His Spurs salary climbed to roughly $13.4 million for this season, part of that 4-year, $55 million rookie deal, with the final year projected near $16.9 million. On top of that, the endorsements are estimated to bring in somewhere between $5 and $10 million a year. Put it together, and his net worth sits right around $10 million as of early 2026. And before anyone calls that modest for a superstar, remember, he's 3 seasons in, still on a rookie-scale contract. And the truly massive payday, the Supermax extension every franchise dreams about, hasn't even arrived yet. This number isn't the peak, it's the launch pad. And the lifestyle? It's not what you'd expect from a young man suddenly worth millions. There's no dating drama, no tabloid noise, no paparazzi chaos. He's famously private, almost monk-like about it, which fits a guy who literally went and trained with monks. Off the court, he's a reader of dense science fiction and philosophy, a chess player who's been at it since he was a kid in France, and a creative who shows up to games in elaborate costumes. He's done No Face, from Spirited Away, he's done Slender Man, using that towering frame to genuinely become the character. It's not just quirky, it's the same restless, strategic brain that lets him control the tempo of a game with that unnerving calm. He's not living large for the cameras. He's building something quieter and, frankly, more durable. It hasn't all been clean, and to his credit, he doesn't pretend otherwise. Back in July 2023, just weeks after being drafted, he was caught in a viral incident in Las Vegas when Britney Spears approached him and his security pushed her hand away. Las Vegas police investigated, reviewed the footage, and concluded no crime occurred, with no charges filed. Then, at 2025 All-Star Weekend, he and teammate Chris Paul tried to exploit a loophole in the skills challenge and got themselves disqualified, with Victor cheerfully taking the blame and calling it a worthwhile experiment. Minor stuff in the grand scheme. But it's the texture of a young superstar learning, in real time, that everything he does is now a headline. So bring it all home. The unanimous Defensive Player of the Year we opened with. Now you see why that vote matters. It wasn't a popularity contest. It was the entire league quietly agreeing that the comeback was real, the dominance is permanent, and the scariest version of this player is still in front of us. Victor Wembanyama isn't just a great young center. He's the closest thing the sport has to a glimpse of its own future. A player who survived a frightening injury, trained with monks, reads philosophy between blocks, and is building an empire on 2 scoreboards at once, while still on a rookie deal. The era is shifting, and he's standing right at the center of it. So tell me, does he win his first MVP and his first ring before he turns 25? Drop your prediction in the comments. I genuinely want to read them. And if this breakdown was worth your time, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.